All right.
There we go. You are live. Okay, now apparently this is going live straight to our YouTube channel. And this is our first time going live on YouTube. And as you can see up at the top, we got the views. So this will be interesting. So let's go ahead and get started.
All
Shalom,
right.
shalom.
Do you want to go ahead and share our feed to a group?
Yes. Well, no, I don't know.
Okay.
This is an
Yeah.
experiment, so we're just gonna experiment, man, with it. I'm gonna start it off, man. With the introduction. Again, shalom, shalom, everybody. Shalom to the universe and to everyone in it. I'm right by Yehoshua, also known as Lieutenant Colonel Yehoshua. All right, and again we have Rabbi Aaron, also known as Captain Aaron. All right, so we are live on our YouTube channel for the first time um, with StreamYard. And we're just going to do a quick review, war review segment where we review the different topics that are hot on the planet right now. And we engage in it from a perspective of warring to end all wars. Um, we'll get more into that concept later on as we go further into this recording. But this is also a pre-Hanukkah discussion where we prepare ourselves for Hanukkah or Hanukkah in relation to the atmosphere of today. All right, so I'm gonna let Rabbi Aharon take us away with the topics, and we'll start discussing as he gives us our topics.
Okay. Our first topic today is going to be. I want to make sure I get his name right.
Mhm. And while you're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen or prepare to share my screen for discussion.
Okay. Okay. I just found the clip. Um, the clip is of Jonathan Green.
Okay, yeah, Jonathan Greenblatt, ADL.
Greenblatt.
Okay, you might be able to share your screen. Actually, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Let me see. No, I can't share mine currently.
Okay, send me the link and I'll share the screen from what you or is it a video?
It's a video.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, send me the link if you can, and then via messenger, then I'll pull it up, I'll share it from my end. And as
All
he's
right.
doing, I want to further explain a couple things as to who we are. Of course, some of you may know us as Congregation Yeshivat Sion. Again, Congregation Yeshivat Sion. That is a Jewish Kokomo's Jewish Center, or you may know us as Or Zavah, the Army of Light, which is an army of educators, an army of teachers who deal with construction and not destruction, weapons of creativity and not weapons of warfare in the physical sense, weapons of destruction. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and pull up the first topic, first video that we're going to be discussing.
It's huge testimony.
This video is going to be on YouTube, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Jonathan Greenblatt. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Jonathan Greenblatt. Greenblatt.
The Jewish people, and it's fairly well known that.
Okay, let me make sure my audio is working. Let me reshare this. And share system audio. There we go. Bam. Skip this ad.
Wake that ass up. In the morning. The Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV Charlamagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
That's right, the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League,
Jonathan Greenblatt. Welcome.
Good morning. Well, thanks for having me.
How are you, man?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Yeah, blessed, black, and highly favored.
There you go.
So this is the CEO of the ADL, right? Is that what he just said?
CEO, and I want to say said leader or maybe spokesperson of the ADL.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and play it. I'm gonna mute my my mic just in case there's a feedback.
There you go.
So let's start off. What is the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League?
Well,
What do you do?
What do I do? So the Anti-Defamation League, let's just step back.
Mhm.
It's the oldest anti-hate organization in the United States. It was founded in 1913 after a Jewish man was lynched. He'd been falsely accused of a crime, wrongly convicted, and ultimately the mob tore him from his jail and they hung him from a tree. And while the corpse was still hanging from the rope, they all gathered around, the town did. They had a barbecue underneath the body. They took pictures and they turned the photographs into postcards.
Sounds familiar.
I was going to say, like, lynchings happen.
Your audio.
My bad. So when I first watched this video, Rabbi, man, that shocked me, man. When I heard that, when he said, I actually looked that story up. You know, I googled it.
I heard of it before.
And that was my first time hearing that, man. But that was, you know, that right there was very interesting, man. A lot of like Charlamagne's about to talk about, man. It's, you know, a lot of parallels.
It is. You know, around that time, of course, if people don't know the American history, Jews when they first came into the country. I want to say that, when I say Jews, I mean the Jews that, have been popularized. A lot of our family that are European, or from Europe, who settled in Europe, then moved to America. A lot of them, when they first moved over here, they got discriminated against. They got pushed to the back burner. Treated as second-class citizens. Now, these are the Jews I'm talking about that came over around the time of the mass immigration. Because there were Jews over here before. The mass immigration. I want to say that mass immigration was like in the 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
And that they were heavily discriminated against.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the 1900s they came over here, and they had a hard time fitting in and being accepted. And here, you just get a chance to see how bad it got down there, and in the South, and you get a chance to see people respond in the correct manner. And I think that that's one thing that's impressive about the the actual the birth of the ADL. You
Most
know,
definitely.
it was the correct way to handle the situation. You know,
All right, I'm gonna hit play. I'm gonna hit play, man, and we're gonna check some more of this out, and we're gonna give some thoughts on this.
Happened to young black men and black women very frequently in the South. This was the first high-profile lynching of a Jewish man, and a bunch of Jews said, we got to do something about this. And so they founded an organization they called the Anti-Defamation League, and they wrote a mission statement that was pretty amazing, because 100 years ago, Jews did not have, economic resources to speak of. They did not have much social capital. And the mission statement they wrote in 1913, we still use it today, was that the purpose is to, quote, stop the defamation of the Jewish people and secure justice and fair treatment to all. Not stop the defamation of the Jewish people, then not stop the defamation of Jewish people and maybe stop it and justice and fair treatment to all, which, we all talk about intersectionality today.
Mm-hmm.
We think struggles are connected today. But 110 years ago, when the Jewish community was vulnerable and they were weak and they didn't have any kind of power or influence or anything, the idea that they would fight for themselves made sense. They would also fight for others. That was an audacious, outrageous idea, but it has animated this organization for well over a century. So whether it's, this organization made the country safer for its Jewish people and safer for black people, safer for LGBTQ people, safer for immigrants. My predecessors filed amicus briefs in Brown v. Board of Education, put people on the buses for Freedom Summer, March with Dr. King, long before. Today we talk about Dr. King. He's a hero. We got a holiday. He was a rabble rouser.
Oh, absolutely.
He was a risk taker. And when ADL stood with him in the 1950s, it pushed a lot of people away, but we thought it was the right thing to do. And I'm blessed, really, really blessed to stand on that legacy now.
Let's go back to 1912, right? Because, a Jewish man got lynched, but I'm sure plenty of black people got lynched prior to that. So
audio.
All right, so real quick before we listen to what Charlamagne got to say, I want to comment on what Jonathan just said concerning the ADL, and he said that they stood with Martin Luther King. Again, that's something that's new to me. I'm privy to the rabbis who walked with Dr. Martin Luther King, in Selma and in different places, man, that MLK marched and things like that. Of course, we got the picture of our famous rabbi that's it's in our lineage, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel and Martin Luther King walking side by side, and one of the rabbis holding up the Torah. But he's saying that he's been with MLK, or his organization's been with MLK, in different situations. So that kind of sheds a little bit of light, a different light, on the ADL for me. And again, I haven't done my research, with ADL at all. The first time I even heard about ADL is when everything started, to transpire with Ye and Kyrie. So, I'm ignorant of the whole, ADL movement or organization. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. The different organizations, we work with personally. Organizations like that deal with Zionism, organizations that deal with Jewish Jewry in America. It's been such a long time since we dealt with them. I want to say the AJC.
Yeah.
These are the organizations, we've dealt with the concept of bringing Jews of color and just Jews in general together. So we've dealt with these organizations before, but the Anti-Defamation League, that's something that we're fairly new in dealing with. I didn't know their function. Now I seen it play out in the media with comments that different celebrities have made, but I didn't know that they were directing them to the ADL. Well, I didn't know it was the ADL's responsibility to, to try to combat them, or how he says, try to knock them down. And I didn't know that this was the guy that represented who held the definitions, the clear-cut definitions. This guy who's taken on the responsibility to define anti-Semitism. And I really think that first hearing the exception of the ADL was phenomenal. Actually, and then hearing, to me, hearing the Dr. King perspective as well, was great. And the only thing that when I watched the interview, I kept wondering was what kind of person represented what anti-Semitism stood for. What kind of person was put in charge of defining it? And that's what we're going to get into a little bit more when we watch the video.
Okay.
What kind of person is defining this? Is it a person? What kind of characteristics does this person have? What was his demeanor? What's his disposition?
Right.
In fact, what's his position on certain topics?
Right. Yeah, and that's very important, man, because he's speaking for a lot of Jews right now. He's speaking for a lot of Jews. And there's a certain way that you got to speak when you speaking for a lot of Jews and representing a lot of Jews, man. So and I sympathize, with his being a leadership. Being a leadership is tough. And you can hear it in his voice, man, when he, as he's speaking through the interview. Like I said, I watched it before. I watched the whole thing, and just looking at it, you can just hear it. It's like, man, he got a lot of weight on his shoulders. But yeah, let's get into it some more. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the play button, and I'm gonna skip through some parts too, just so that way we can cover these two topics before our time is up. But let's go.
Why didn't Jewish people step up prior to say, hey, man, this is wrong that all these black people are getting?
I'm sure Jewish people did, but the Jewish community didn't create an organization, like ADL before then.
Gotcha.
So that doesn't mean that individuals didn't speak out. There are many Jews who were involved in the abolition movement. There are many Jews involved, in all aspects of the civil rights movement over the decades.
Because it makes me think about, when you don't, how they say, this happened to the Jews and I remain silent, or this happened to this group and I remain silent. This happened to black people and I remain silent. And then eventually they came for us. That's what it makes me think about.
It is a lot like that. And, look, ADL has not gotten it right every time over the last 100 years. That's for sure. But on some of the most big and important questions of our time, when it really was a risk, I feel proud to be part of this organization.
And what does the CEO of the ADL do?
So basically, I do three things. So number one, we protect the community. We track anti-Semitic incidents. We help train law enforcement so they understand what hate crimes are and how to protect communities, black, brown, Jewish, gay, etc. And we monitor the extremists. So I got a team of analysts who 24/7 are tracking right-wing extremists, white nationalists, armed militia groups, hardcore anti-Zionists, radical eco-fascists, all these kinds of extremists. Like just 2 weeks ago, we had a situation in Penn Station, you may have seen, where the FBI and the NYPD apprehended 2 men with bulletproof vests, guns.
So I pause it right here because I want to chime in again. Now, when I first watched this, man, I had to say to myself, I'm like, okay, he's speaking about these different groups. And the thought popped in my mind, like, you know, where are these groups listed at? You know, I wonder if there's a list of these groups. And I forget if it was on this video or somewhere else, man, but it came to me the website. Matter of fact, yeah, it was on. So I went to the ADL's website. On their website, there's like a hyperlink that takes you to another place. I believe that says something like all of the hate groups in America, right? And the reason why I went there is because I'm like, well, you know, we're definitely not a hate group. You know, our congregation, you know, Yeshiva Sion is not a hate group. We're not, you know, we don't spew hate. We don't spew violence. We don't advocate violence, none of that. I said, but I wonder if somebody may mistaken our, you know, army fatigue uniform that we wear, one of our uniforms, as being militant because it used the word militant. So I'm like, man, let me see if we on that list, man. I hope we not. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, let me check it out. So real quick, what I want to do is I want to actually go there. I want to go to this list real quick. And take a look at something. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share a new tab. And then we're gonna take a look at this list. The ADL's website. I'm gonna track the exact path that I took getting to this list. Right? ADL, Anti-Defamation League. I clicked on that. I just check them out. Now, you kind of got to do some digging to find that list.
Is there any way to show the link?
To share the link?
To show the link that goes shoot straight to the list.
Yeah, we're gonna take a look at that. Let's see. Center of Extremism. Hate symbols. Let me see, man. What did I click on? I clicked on something. What did I click on? Okay, let's try this. So I'm gonna go straight to the link that I sent in our group that actually has it. Because I don't remember exactly how I clicked from the ADL to this list, but I got the list. So let's take a look at this list. All right, bam. So let me stop the share, reshare. And let's share this. All right, bam, here we go. Complete list of all active hate groups in the U.S.
Fascinating list.
It is Very fascinating, man. And so at the top it reads, it says, this is an archive article, and the information in the article may be outdated. Please look at the timestamp on the story to see when it was last updated. So this is the most updated list, to my understanding. It says 917. That's the number of hate groups operating in the U.S. According to data from the Southern Poverty Law Center, the Alabama-based nonprofit activist group tracks civil rights and hate crimes and defines a hate group as an organization with beliefs or practices that attack or malign an entire class of people, typically for their immutable characteristics. Over the course of a year, we have a team of investigators that scours the internet for racist publications and real world activities to find out which groups exist, which groups are still active, and which groups come along, said Ryan Lenz, a senior investigative reporter for the SPLC's Hate Watch Project. Some are classified as anti-LGBT groups, and some are Black separatists who don't believe in interracial marriage and want a nation only for Black people, according to the group. And then it goes on to speak about some more stuff. But these red dots are basically where they found hate groups around the U.S. or what they consider hate groups. Now they go state by state. Now, of course, I immediately said, man, you know what, man? I gotta hit up Indiana. Let me see what Indiana is talking about. And I ain't just do it, for the sake of I just did it just to see in Indiana, period. All right. So we go to Indiana, where we're located at, and you just got all these hate groups right here. Right? All these hate groups. And when I got down to the bottom of it, I said, yes, we're not on there. But it's not like we was gonna be on there anyway. I just was in my mind, I'm like, man, maybe, just maybe, man. So for the record, disclaimer that again, we are a Jewish community. We are about establishing peace, even though we talk a lot about wars. We are an army. We have an aspect of our community that's an actual spiritual army or Jewish army, Jewish militia. It's not a army or a militia that deals with weapons of destruction. We don't advocate going to physical war. We advocate going to war with your demons, so to speak. Going to war with your own demons and then being taught how to do that. So, and we feel as though that's something that will be a war to wage that will end all wars. If this is waged in a way where it becomes effective, and it will become effective, because the prophets talked about this. And now let's go to the Torah, to the Tanakh. The prophets talked about an army to come that will literally end all wars, right? So we, of course, make that claim that we are part of the army. Chime in, yes.
Just for a second. I think the difference between, the ADL in a lot of these groups is how they take in information and how they call things out. I think that the response that ADL is doing is the correct response. Their idea is to try to champion things against people despite skin. And these groups are groups that target people and divide based off the idea of skin. So whenever you put skin into the mix, that's ultimately where it's gonna go. And I say this that if you want to put your skin or your biology against somebody else's biology, you're doomed to fail.
Right.
Because biology is something that's, you know, even when you look at, you know, Jacob and Esau, you know, biology didn't matter, you know,
Right.
and
Most
biology, it doesn't matter, you know. Talking about King, he said not the color of the skin, but the content of the character.
right.
You know, you could use that for biology too. It's not so much, you know, the ancestors whose blood pumps through your body, but it's the decision you make ultimately that determines your character.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, a lot of these groups just aren't based upon that concept. They're
Yeah.
based upon the concept that, you know, your skin gives you an entitlement, your biology gives you an entitlement, and you know, all of those constructs are gonna fall. You know, every single one of them will be destroyed. You know, if you want to build anything upon biology, your biology is limited.
Yeah, that's for real, man. And let me add or to build on top of that. That limitation, all it does is just causes friction and war, physical war, right? The wars that we see, you know, that's going on now, man. And then I'm talking about the war between words and ideologies, and the war of, you know, I believe this, you believe that, and so now we're just gonna clash because I want my belief to out trump yours. You know, all of that type of stuff, man. It's a result of that biological consciousness, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Being conscious of just your biological makeup instead of taking that consciousness higher. You know, and that's what we're about. We're about taking the consciousness higher, um, moving it from the biological aspect into the soulical aspect or the soul, right? Spirituality, Jewish spirituality. Now, another one last thing I want to touch on before we go back to the video is that, you know, I was saying to myself, I'm like, well, I wonder if, you know, in this list, if they have anybody that's Jewish, any Jewish organizations, Jewish groups, and I'm like, maybe they're biased, maybe they just, you know, have all the groups that's not Jewish. But right here it says Jewish Defense League. So I wonder what that group is, man. I haven't did no research on that. I'm gonna do some research on that, man. I'm gonna see, you know, what that is. It sounds like they're not being biased, man. It sounds like the ADL is not biased. You know, sounds like they're really just, you know, going after what they consider hate groups. And I might have to say, man, that I agree with uh, up to what I understand now of the ADL, the Anti Defamation League, what they've done up to this point. I agree that, you know, most of these groups that's on this list, man, they spew out hate, you know, straight up hatred, man, straight up, you know, bias, straight up, uh, you know, just ideologies that's going to clash with somebody else, but in a way where it's hateful. So, you know,
Mm, yeah,
it's you know,
yeah, negativity.
yeah,
You know,
negativity, man. Not trying to build
negativity at its highest degree.
as high as degree. Yeah, man. So, you know, and don't get me wrong, you know, I can listen to a lot of these groups, and let me say this: there's truth in everything, even in lies, right? Even in fairy tales, even in folklore, myths. There's truths. So there's a piece of truth, you know, maybe in all these groups that's considered hate groups. They may have. So I'm not dismissing that. I'm not dismissing them and saying, they should just be canceled, or they,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
they shouldn't even exist. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, you know, they're being called out for hate, and, you know, the creator, he allowed for that to happen. He allowed for this, you know, to be a list, because remember what the Jew says. The Jew says that there's nothing but God. You know, God is one, Hashem is one. So,
Mhm.
you know, take Nation of Islam, for example. You know, there's a lot of great, there's a lot of knowledge and truths in the Nation of Islam. It's the young brother. I forget the young brother's name.
Probably Brother X or something like that. Might be Brother X.
He's on the internet. He's on the social media outlets now. Light skinned brother with glasses.
The other it's two of them that's really popping. I think one of them's brown skin, one of them's light skin. But I think I know the youngest one. He's the lighter skin. I think his name is like Brother Ben or something. Brother something.
Right. And you know, yeah, one of them guys, man. And you know, when I heard him speak, he has a lot of knowledge. You know, he has a lot of information that the Black community can take and benefit from. On the flip side, you know, there are some things within the Nation of Islam that are radical or that are combative or that can be viewed as just straight up hate speech. And I'm talking about the Nation of Islam itself, you know, all the way back from, you know, when they were first formed.
History. Yeah.
Throughout the history. Yeah. It's a guy that was on a talk show, man, and he basically was like, you know, man, he said some stuff, man, that he said some crazy stuff. I ain't gonna repeat it because, you know, we on YouTube, man. I think his name was Khalid Muhammad or something like that. And you know, he was straight up like he just said some stuff, man, you know, that was definitely inflammatory. Black Panther Party. When I was younger, I was attracted to that. Not the new Black Panther Party, the old Black Panther Party. You know, the Huey P. Newtons and the Fred Hampton. That was my guy. That was my favorite. That was my favorite Black Panther out of all of them. And I'm tell you why is because he actually stood for power to the people rather than just, you know, it being Black power. His whole thing was, you know, Black power, red power, yellow power, white power, power to the people. And I dig that, man. I like that. At a young age, I actually, you know, gravitated towards that. But even within that, man, you know, there's again different truths, but then there's these ideologies that, you know, will actually go against the Torah or go against, you know, what Israel stands for. So,
yeah.
All right, let's get back to the video. I'm gonna flash forward in the video. And look at some more things before we shut it down on tonight.
A young man with a pellet gun
as they came out of and so before 2,717 incidents. Now, every one of those, my staff investigated and verified everything that we report. And so that is triple the number of incidents that we had in 2015. So think about it. Over 300% more. And I mean, and on the heels of all the kind of animus around the Kyrie thing, and I think he should put a disclaimer on it to say the kind of things in here are not true, and here's why they're problematic. They'll say it's what the platform does. It's not just what Chappelle says, it's what SNL does or NBC does. It's not just about what Kyrie tweets, it's about Amazon hosting it. So look, we've launched a whole campaign against Amazon. We announced on Monday we're working with the German government because Holocaust denialism, and that movie is offensive in part because it says that white Jews invented the Holocaust, that it didn't really happen. That's not true. Let's just put that out there. I don't think I really should even need to. But Holocaust denialism is illegal in Germany. That movie is available on Amazon Germany. So we are now working with the German government because Amazon is breaking the law. I also had, we worked with members of Congress had about 36 members of Congress write a letter to CEO Andy Jassy and to the chairman Jeff Bezos. We're also worked with all these different groups in the Jewish community to write a letter. We've sent tens of thousands of emails. So I'm not going to let up on Amazon. Not at all. And I was at a conference last week where Andy Jassy, the CEO, said, you know what, it's a slippery slope if we take this down. I don't think so. Or at a minimum, even if he doesn't want to take it down, and I think he should put a disclaimer on it to say the kind of things in here are not true, and here's why they're problematic. And like, look, I've talked to Andy. I've talked to their leadership. We will help them with that. Again, the goal here is not to cancel, it's to counsel.
Now, you also didn't mention Dave Chappelle, right?
Yeah.
For years, comedians have made jokes about everything under the sun, right? If you watch Live in Color or whatever it may, it could be LGBTQ community, it could be Black people, it could be white people, it's Asian people. When is a joke not funny anymore where it's a problem? Because some people find Dave Chappelle's jokes funny. I'm sure some Jewish people find Dave Chappelle jokes funny.
Yeah, the criticism was he normalized anti-Semitism. As a person who doesn't always know what is considered anti-Semitic, I didn't know what he normalized.
So let's talk about that. So first of all, I would say that I give always, as the head of ADL, a very wide berth when it comes to comedy. I mean, and Dave Chappelle is an equal opportunity offender, right? White people, trans people, Black people, Jewish people. So there's a lot of Asian people. Where are the Nikes? So he is like a cultural phenomenon. So when he did this and then didn't seem to show any contrition or any interest in any contrition right away, that's problematic. But we work with the Nets and his family and the Players Association and the league and his friends to try to work this out. And then after he said he had another pretty terrible press conference and the Nets suspended him, they said this is what I got a call from them and said, this is we're gonna have him do a bunch of things. Would you be willing to meet with him? I said, of course I will. And I've said that, by the way, since the very beginning. I still haven't met with him. Spoken to his dad. I've spoken to his stepmom, who's his agent. I've spoken to his friends. I haven't talked to him. But I would talk to him today if you want to have that conversation.
Okay.
Because I think he has.
So I'm pausing right here. So it sounds like, man, Jonathan Greenblatt is sounds like he might, man, be a stand-up type of guy, you know, stand-up type of dude. Don't know him personally, so I put the emphasis on seems like. And you know, for him to want to reach out to Kyrie, speak to him, you know, that shows you know his character. Don't know, you know, why that conversation didn't transpire, but be interesting to see if it does in the future. The video is an hour long. We're not going to be able to stay on for that long. So, you know, we just, again, having this this test run, you know, for our first time going live. Looks like we're going to be going live, you know, more often because, you know, it seems like it runs pretty smooth. And kind of want to leave off on a couple other notes. And that is that I found the guy's name, the Muslim guy I was talking about. His name is Rizza Islam. I knew that was just gonna bother me if I didn't figure out the name, man. But he's a very intellectual brother. And he actually did a review on this very video. And then the next thing was I wanted to just kind of deal with the idea of where this is leading, where this is going. In my opinion, this is all leading to oneness. It's all leading to oneness. And let me explain. The pressures that are being experienced today by a lot of us, it's the same pressures, you know, the same pressures from the media, the same pressures from social media, the same pressures, you know, from the atmosphere. And really, ultimately, it's going to lead everybody into this oneness, one way or another. You know, I don't know if it's going to be soon or later. One thing that I discovered yesterday in watching a video of Kanye West, having a dialogue with WAC 100 and his audience. Man, you know what I discovered on there, man?
What's that?
Ye, he said that basically Elon Musk, he kicked him off of Twitter, and all he was trying to simply do was to combine the swastika with the Star of David. He said that he wanted to bring them together. So he put the swastika in the middle of the Star of David, and he said he wanted to show that he loves both sides. He loves the Jewish people and he loves Nazis. Now, when he said that, I had a different outlook on that. You know what I'm saying? That Ye, he's a, he's they say he's a like a mad scientist.
Yeah.
The genius. He also has this and he'll admit it that he has, I don't know if it's bipolar or autism, something like that. But so the way that he'll come off may be a little disruptive at first, maybe a little chaotic. But when he revealed that, I said, man, you know what? That's not such a bad idea. Maybe it was a little, out there and offensive to a lot of Jews. But the concept is what I'm saying is not a bad idea as far as him wanting to bring people together. But of course, the way he went about it, it just sent off so many red flags that it almost immediately I thought that he was trolling. Like, okay, he's on his troll vibes, and he's about to try to make somebody else mad so he can get some more clout, some more attention, or whatever. But when he said that, man, I said, man, you know what? Let me kind of rethink, how I think about him as far as that goes. But of course, that's that type of unity is not gonna come that way, at least in my opinion, it's not gonna come that way by just simply combining symbols together. But it's a start, or it's a try for Ye. He tried. Allegedly. All right, so Rabbi, looked like you might have dropped off, man, or froze up, one of the two. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and end this broadcast and this live, and we will see everybody next time. We'll be doing more of this. If anybody would like for us to speak on a subject, get the rabbi's perspective with Neo Hasid, a Neo Hasidic rabbi, a modern Orthodox rabbi, leave a comment in our comment section. And of course, to aid and support us, like, share, subscribe. Once again, shalom to the universe and to everyone in it. And see y'all next time.